Hey, a little bit of a different broadcast for you guys. I know you're used to seeing some exciting interview here for meaningful people. Certainly not middle of the week like we're doing this, but today is my grandfather's Yahrzeit, Nisson Gordon, Alva Shalom. Someone who I've never met in my entire life. And it's not unusual. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have never met a grandparent, right? So it's been 35 years. My grandfather passed away. My grandfather was one of the trailblazers of Yiddish journalism. That's what he was known for. He was a Yiddish writer. My father was one of the starters of Jewish radio, and I'm doing my craft here podcasting. So it's interesting to sort of see how it trickles down. I sure cannot write. I don't think I can, at least. But this is what I found I could do. It's interesting losing somebody that you don't really know. You know, my grandfather was never part of my life physically. All I hear are the stories, many stories, even from guests I've had on this podcast. Rabbi Wawe Jacobson, Rabbi Wawe Jacobson's father and my grandfather worked together at the Morning Tug. Those Yiddish speakers out there, you know what that is. Rav Shalom Duchman would tell me stories also about my grandfather, and that's sort of the extent of what I know. So I sat down with my father and I discussed with him what it was like losing his father. It was 33 years ago. What that day was like, the moments leading up to it, the final conversation you had with him. And it was quite eye-opening. This, conversation I'm going to show you guys happened 2 years ago. You'll see the big mess behind me in that office. Well, we've upgraded since, but it's very interesting to speak about someone, or for at least to me to hear about someone who has such a great impact in my life, more than I can even really know or touch upon subconsciously, and to hear things for the first time, what his mannerisms were, what his passions were. One of the things you'll hear is how passionate he is about Eretz Yisrael. All of his father, his brothers, are all buried in Queens next to the Rebbe, who they were so close to in Crown Heights. My father said, always remarked that he wants to live in America, but he wants to lay in Eretz Yisrael. My father thinks that it's because he always wanted his kids to have a reason to go back every year. And that's what my father does. Every single year he goes to Eretz Yisrael for the Yahrzeit, which is on the 6th night of Hanukkah, which is when I am recording this and probably publishing it to you. It is 35 years since the loss of my grandfather, and I wanted to air this conversation. I wanted to show the world a little bit about who he was, and should be an aliyah for his neshama. Like I said, there's so much probably I don't know, and maybe people out there are gonna watch this and be like, "Oh, my grandfather used to read your stuff, and I used to read his stuff." Maybe, but this is myself, my father, Larry Gordon, speaking about the day he lost his father, the last conversations he's had, and what it means to lose someone over 3 decades ago. Even if it's a parent, do you remember that person? Can you feel them? Well, here's that conversation. I hope you enjoy. I want to give you the opportunity. I want to discuss with you, the Yahrzeit that is ahead of us right now.
Okay.
Give you the opportunity to reflect on the life of your father, remembering Nisson Gordon.
What can I tell you? He came here when he was 16 years old in 1934 from a town called Duckschitz. And he always referred to himself as Duckschitz Yingalo. He's a boy from Duckschitz, and he had a remarkable career as a journalist without any formal training, just by his own brain power.
And he passed away at a fairly young age.
Yeah, he was a few days short of the 72nd birthday. And like I said, it was 33 years ago, and it was a surprise to us. It was a shock to us. He really wasn't sick, and it changed our lives. Changed my mother's life. She lived for another 27 years without him, and it changed a lot of things in our lives. But we know that our faith is strong, and we know that he's watching over us, and he's in a powerful position in the highest levels of what we believe in the highest heavens. And we're very connected to him, and we still feel very connected, that he's very connected to us. And one of the things
There's a picture. There's a picture from Crown Heights of, at the Levi of Zaidi. And this is many years after the Rebbe stopped going out for Levias, but the Rebbe came out for Zaidi, for Nisson Gordon's Levaya.
People that speculate about these things said that he had a great amount of hakaras hatov to Nisson Gordon because of the fact how he represented Chabad in the media, in the Jewish media, which is the way, as I said, I think yesterday, which is the way people communicated. Don't forget that we didn't have social media to clutter up our brains. We had to either sit down and read a book or read a newspaper to know what's going on.
I'm curious. What's the last memory, or rather, I want to ask you. 33 years is a long time. I'm 27. So, having lost someone 33 years ago, a parent, do you remember what that person looks like in real life? Do you remember things that they said? Are they alive to you?
Well,
although it's been such a long time.
I think I've written in the paper. I think I put it into words that one of the things that I could say conclusively, having endured the last 33 years, Baruch Hashem, I could tell you that the time moves on, but the distance between a child and a parent doesn't broaden. It doesn't widen. You're as close today as you were close last time you saw them or the last time you spoke to them.
Do you remember the last time you spoke to your father?
Yeah, I do.
What was the conversation about?
Well, it was a very brief conversation. It's hard for me to talk about.
Was it before he had the heart attack, or was it after?
It was the night that he passed away.
So he was lucid. He was conscious.
He was conscious. He didn't have that kind of illness. He had a slight heart attack a few weeks earlier. It was so slight that they even thought maybe it's not a heart attack. They thought it might have been indigestion or something, But then they went to the hospital and they took certain blood tests, and that's it.
I'm curious if there was a message of like a going forward message. I don't know. I think that first of all, there's not many people I could ask this question to that I would feel comfortable asking this question to. What was the last conversation you had with somebody?
He lit Hanukkah candles that year, 1989, and he lit the sixth Hanukkah candle, and then I believe he went to sleep and got up briefly in the morning and then just passed out. My mother told me, and then he wasn't there anymore. But so I knew that he had a heart attack and he was going to have surgery after January 1st. This was December 28th. And the doctors, I'm not blaming doctors, but they said, Mr. Gordon, you're better off having the surgery after New Year's because the staff is very thin during the holiday season.
Right.
So have it. He said have it on January 4th. Anyway, he didn't make it that far. He needed bypass surgery. He had clogged arteries, or however they call it today. I don't know what it is. He wasn't a very, very heavy guy, but he wasn't a big didn't go to work out, He didn't go to work out. He went to work, not to work out. Today a lot of guys are going to work out, but he was an old fashioned guy. He just went to work. Anyway, my mother answered the phone the night that he passed away, and he was fine. We were talking about having surgery in a couple of weeks, and
you did not, you didn't go there in person because you did not think that was going to be the end.
I was there Sunday night. I think I was there Sunday night, and this was Wednesday night. And my mother said, "Do you want to?" She asked him if he wants to speak to me. He said, "No, just tell him that I love him."
Was that out of character? Was that out of the norm?
I don't know.
And that was the last thing. That's a really good last thing to hear. At least it wasn't like, do me a favor and
don't call me so often. No, it rings in my ears every day for all these years.
That's really special. Special. That's very nice. I didn't know I didn't know Zadie because he passed away obviously before I was born. Um, I have a feeling that maybe that was a little out of character of him to be as expressive like that. So maybe that made it even ever more so meaningful. Were you at all,
No,
thrown off by
no,
that?
I don't think he was afraid to say it. I think he said it often. It's not that was that kind of guy. But the fact that what made it so special was the last thing that I heard him say.
And then in the morning when you woke up, that's when you found out.
No, my mother called me. You want those details? My mother called me about 4 o'clock in the morning that she can't wake my father up. I got into my car to drive from Flatbush, where we lived at the time, to Crown Heights. And it was snowing outside, light snow, and I remember stopping at the corner of Ocean Avenue and Church Avenue, and it was 10 to 4 in the morning, I think, and there was a McDonald's there, and people were standing outside McDonald's at 10 to 4 in the morning. I thought that was very weird.
The things you
I thought
remember.
that was very weird. And then I got to the house in Crown Heights, and there was a solar ambulance outside and an EMS ambulance. And, I went inside, and the local doctor was there, who was also a Hatzalah member, and that was it. An hour or two later, they signed a death certificate. And that afternoon, I was on the way to Eretz Yisrael with my brother Binyamin.
And 33 years later, there you are right
Here
now.
we are.
You
Here we are.
you paid a visit to the caver when you landed, and I'm sure you're gonna visit again before you leave,
And,
next week.
and that's why we're here, and that's why we're here, and that was his reason for insisting, even though his parents are buried in Queens, and his brother and his sister are buried in Queens, near the Kever, near the Ohel, near the Lubavitcher Rebbe. But like I said in the very beginning, he loved Israel so much that was important to him. But this was more important to him, to be in Eretz Yisrael. Thank you.
Any parting words?
Just thank you for what you do. And the fact of the matter is, you're the youngest of 6 kids. My father was a redhead, and he had freckles on his arms, and you were born on his birthday.
I was. We have the same birthday, Yud
Right.
Shvat.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. And you thought you were making. You thought you had choice what you want to do.
Right. No, you can run, but you can't
That's right.
hide.